Hello, welcome back. So for this video, we are going to go over defining a conic. This is the first video for understanding curves. So let's go ahead and get started. Please go ahead and create a new document. And in this case, we are going to work on the top plane. I already have my document created. So I'm going to go ahead and select my top plane, create a sketch. And while I'm at it, I'm going to hide the front and the right view. We won't be working with these too much. All right, so for step 2, we want to create this center point rectangle. So let's go ahead and open up this drop-down menu, center point rectangle. We want to click on our origin, go up and to the left or the right, and we click away. So before we continue, let's go ahead and change our units. And we want to work with inches. Just to check again, let's verify that we change this to inches, and we are good to go. All right, so now we're going to change the dimensions of this rectangle. So I'm going to edit sketch 1. And let's go ahead and use our dimension tool. So this will have a value of 6. Zoom out. I'm going to add another dimension to this top portion. We want to add these sketch lines right here, these construction lines. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to escape that. So I'm going to hold L, click Q. So notice I have construction and line selected. I'm going to the midpoint. I go across. It is a horizontal line. And I click away at the midpoint of the other vertical line. I'm going to hit escape, L and Q. So now I click at my top midpoint and I go all the way down until I select my midpoint. And there it is. All right, so now let's continue to step 3 and add our conic. So I'm going to zoom in, select conic. I'm going to click on this line here and this line here. And then finally at the center to define where the vertex is at. And our value will have a value of 5.5. So we're good to go. Hit enter. I'm going to click escape, drag this out. And now I'm going to use the dimension tool to redefine this length right here, the length from this point to this point. So I'm going to click on dimension, click on this point here. This will now have a value of 0.75. I'll do the same for this other section here. Go back to our top view and we escape. So now for section 4, we are going to mirror this conic to the right side, and then we're going to do that to the bottom area. So let's go ahead and click mirror. We're selecting our line to mirror about. And now I click on this conic and it is mirrored over here. I click escape. And now for step 5, I'm going to mirror the conic as well. So I'm mirroring the top to the bottom. So I click the center horizontal line. I click this conic and notice it's mirrored down here. And I click this one and it's mirrored down there. And I hit escape. For step 6, we're just trimming away the areas that we do not need. So I'm going to click on this tool right here, trim. And I'm going to zoom in. I want to get rid of this. And I want to get rid of that. Remember, if you mess up, just hit Control Z. So we're getting rid of all of these little sections here. And this as well. Oops, I did a little bit too much right here. So just getting rid of this section here. So this is good to go. By the way, let's rename this to top profile. At this point, we're going to add another plane. Let's go ahead and change this view. So I'm clicking on plane and I'm selecting my top plane. And what we're doing is that we're adding another plane into this. So let's add a bottom plane. We're going to rename this bottom profile plane. And we do want to add a value of 0.5. This will be 0.5 away from our top plane. Notice we do need to reverse this, and we're going downwards, so good to go. So now we're going to create a new sketch. So let's click on sketch. We're selecting the bottom profile plane. And this will be renamed bottom profile. So let's go ahead and select that and click the check mark let's go ahead and edit it. So at this point, let's get rid of the top plane view and the bottom profile plane. So now in this situation, we do want to select all of these lines all around here. So let's go ahead and right click, click select, create selection. And we're clicking on any of these edges. Notice that we have edges selected, tangents connected, and everything has been selected here. So let's hold off right here and actually click on add selection. So now in step 9, we're going to click the offset tool. So right here. So notice our bottom plane will have an offset value. And let's switch this to the top view. And it should have a value of 0.125. So let's gently click on this value right here and click on 0.125 and hit enter. So I'm going to hit escape and I'm going to drag that up a little bit just so it doesn't look too awkward. And now we have a bottom piece right there. For step 10, we are actually creating a loft. So now we're connecting this plane to the bottom plane there. So let's go back and hit this check mark. We're all done with that. So here's the loft feature. And I'm selecting the top plane and this bottom plane right here. And I just hit the check mark. For step 11, we're just creating a new sketch on our front plane. So let's go ahead and select front. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I click sketch. And this will be on the front plane. For step 12, we're creating 2 construction lines that are horizontal. One here and one down here. We do not need to connect these lines yet. So let's hit L and Q. So now notice I have construction and line selected. So I'm making sure it's horizontal. The length doesn't really matter. Got the second line down here. So let's show some constraints. So notice we do have this as a horizontal and this is a horizontal. This is important for the next part since we will be making these 2 coincidental. Let's just go ahead and make that coincidental. So I click this line and then this corner, and now it's coincidental here and here. So now for step 13, we're going to click Conic and we're going to add this curve right here. So this is a little bit tricky. So I'm going to click out here, select this corner over here, and then finally I'm going to select the construction line. All right, so notice we are coincidental here. And then our line is also coincidental. Our curve is coincidental with the construction line. The construction line is coincidental with this portion here. Let's add that dimension, 0.625. Hit escape and drag this up. So now we do want to add some tangent features. We want to make sure that this curve is tangent to this line and that it is also tangent to this construction line. That's pretty much it right there. Now for step 14, notice we're still in this sketch, so do not click out of this yet. We're going to add another conic, so let's get that curve going. So I click back on my conic, and then I click on this dot here. I connect it with this piece, and then I finally connect my last point down to this construction line. So this curve is coincidental to 3 regions. It is coincidental to this curve to my corner dot, the curve to the construction line, and then that construction line is coincidental to this corner here. We want this to have a value of 0.375. Go ahead and move that here. All right, so now the final part, let's go ahead and add some more tangent features. We want to make sure that this curve is tangent to this line, that it is tangent to the construction line, and that it is also tangent to the curve above. Notice the curve becomes very smooth and it's well defined. All right, so now here we're going to check to make sure that our 2 curves are connected and the features are well defined. So I'm going to angle this a little bit. So now notice I'm going to select this feature. I'm still not clicking out of this. So I'm hitting intersection and I'm clicking this plane here. Notice nothing really pops up, so that's a good sign. It shows that we have well defined our features. So if I click on this plane, we get this message, could not intersect the selected face. So here it is showing that everything is well connected, so we're good to go. All right, so let's finish up with the dimensions. So I'm clicking back on my front view. I'm zooming in a little bit. Let's get rid of all these constraints. Click on our dimension tool. You notice I'm clicking on this dot here to this dot. And now I add a value of 0.1. Now I am changing these two areas here, I'm adding these dimensions. So I click on this feature, and then I click down here. So once again, I clicked on this dot, and now I'm clicking on this construction line. And I'm going to add a value of 0.375, 0.375. And then finally, I'm going to add another dimension between this dot and this dot. So here and here. And then I'll have a value of 0.125. There you go. And then we accept. So before we begin step 17, let's go ahead and rename two features. This right here, this item that we created right here, this curve, let's go ahead and rename that to swept profile. So I'm going to click rename, swept profile. And I also need to rename this part right here. After we lofted, we should have renamed this. So this is going to be plate. And that's it. All right, so now let's continue with step 17. So now let's sweep. I'm going to click on sweep, add. And in this situation, I want to sweep this profile all the way around. So now for the sweep path, let's go ahead and click on this. Right click on your drawing sheet. Let's go ahead and click on select, create selection, edges, tangent connected, and I'm clicking on this piece, and we add the selection. So now notice we already have a path defined right here. We added some curves. So I'm going to hit the check mark. So now for our final step, let's go ahead and select shell, and let's actually make a cavity within this. And we will be creating our phone case. So here's a shell. Let's just go ahead and click on this piece. This may take a while for the computer to calculate this. And we want to include a value of 0.025. So that'll be the thickness of the shell, 0.025. Here's our final feature. So to check your work, make sure you click on plate and then hit mass properties, and you should be able to get an answer for the following section, and it should be correct. Anyways, thank you for watching, and see you.